Hi, Janet here for the Barngoddess Chronicles. I'm coming to you today in the midst of this crazy crisis that we're all going through in the world with coronavirus and the impact of that with illnesses and financial situations and school closings, business closings, everything else we're going through. The horse world has not been unscathed by this. It's always been our mission here at the Barngoddess Chronicles to bring you the story behind the story at horse shows and events and other wonderful things happening as in our equestrian life, and to entertain you as well with a number of different departments, our fashion and design and our entertainment and so on. Travel, always a big one. But those kind of things are like sort of coming to, a lot of them are coming to a screeching halt, but not all of them. So we're going to be continuing to inform you and entertain you here on the Barngoddess Chronicles. One thing I did want to mention is that we have been offering the Horsewomen's Wellness Weekends in Ligonier for April and May, but of course those have had to be canceled too, with this coronavirus that's been going on. But we are planning on bringing those back as soon as things settle down and are back to normal, and we look forward to seeing you then. In addition to that, I wanted to mention to you, my Barngoddess audience, that I'm also a equestrian confidence coach, and I have a program called Canter to Confidence, and it is designed to help those who have lost confidence in the saddle due to an accident or an illness or maybe simply the effects of aging. And I designed this program because I felt there was a strong need out there. I myself personally was in a terrible accident 12 years ago where I broke my neck, fell off my horse and broke my neck. And it took me a long time and a very arduous process to regain my confidence in the saddle. And my mission now is to help other people to regain their confidence faster and with much more ease. What I've been thinking about with regards to that is a huge portion of what I teach has to do with mitigating fear. And fear in the saddle, or fear in anything, it really is the same. It's the same thing. It's the same source. And so it goes across the board. And I thought hopefully that it will be a benefit to you, my viewers, for me to come on and maybe give you some of the tenets that I teach in this course in order to help you have a perspective of what fear is and some practical steps that you can take to help you mitigate fear in your equestrian life and in your life in general. So, that being said, I'm going to today bring you 3 facts about fear and then 3 practical steps that you can take to mitigate fear. So, first of all, fact number 1 is that you need to understand that fear is an emotion, and it is two-pronged. It begins in the body, and it travels up to the mind. It is in the body in ways in which we describe as shaking in our boots or sweating bullets or blood pressure rising, heart pounding. Those are the physical manifestations of fear. It's where it starts in the body. And then that message is sent through the vagus nerve, which I'll talk about that a little bit more, to the brain. And in the brain, our minds process that into feelings. And we have feelings of anxiety and of worry. And as we know, that's where we get into trouble when we're on our horse, because we transmit those feelings to the horse, and they realize, they're like, oh, my goodness, if my rider has something to worry about, there must be something to worry about, even though there's not a plastic bag in sight. So, nevertheless, that's kind of the way that works. The second thing that I wanted to get across was that horses recognize human facial expressions. Maybe this is something that you kind of instinctively know, or maybe it's something that you've never really even thought about. However, It's been scientifically proved in studies that have been conducted within the last 18 or so months over in Europe in the universities, that actually proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this is true. So when you first lock eyes with your horse, whatever expression you have on your face, if it's an expression of fear, if it's an expression of anger, they're going to pick up on that right away. And it's going to imprint in their minds that emotion with your countenance. And the horses being horses, they're right away going to assume that whatever it is you're looking, however your expression is, has something to do with them. You're angry with them, you're upset with them, whether or not they have anything to do with it or not. So that's the second important thing to remember, is that horses recognize facial expressions. Okay, and now the third thing to keep in mind when it comes to fear is that you are your horse's leader. Horses are herd animals, as we know, and they rely on their leader. And when it's you and the horse, you are the leader. And if you're not the leader, then they'll assume that position, and then you're in trouble. All hell breaks loose because they make the decisions, and you need to have go along with it or else. So being that confident leader and having that confidence is what they are relying upon you to provide, keeping them calm and mitigating their fears. Okay, so those are 3 facts about fear. I also promised to tell you 3 practical steps that you can take to mitigate fear. And remember, I'm talking specifically in most of this video about horses, but this translates into all areas of your life. So, hint number 1, prepare. Very, very important. When you are on your way to your horse's stall or out to the field to, catch your horse to ride or ground work or whatever you're going to do with them, you need to get yourself into the right frame of mind. You may be driving to the barn and somebody cuts you off, or something happens on the road, or you had a fight with your kid or your husband or your wife or whatever, and you are in a bad mood. It's very important that you change that mindset before you approach your horse. Because, as we mentioned before, they are going to pick up on exactly how it is that you're feeling, and they're going to internalize that to themselves. So I always like to use a trick or a technique, I should say. I'm borrowing this from Mel Robbins, whom I am a great admirer of Mel Robbins, and she has a technique that's called think this, not that. And so the minute your mind starts going into the negative, you need to tell yourself, wait a minute, I've got to stop this right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop this right now, and put myself into a positive frame of mind by thinking positive thoughts. I recommend that at a time when you are calm and there's nothing going on specifically, in your brain, in your little world, that you write down some things that you can go to. They're kind of like your go-to positive thoughts. We call them anchor thoughts in the course that you can think about that are positive no matter what. And that may be the look of the smile on your child's face, or a beautiful sunset, or, a great movie you just watched, or whatever it is. You can put down whatever you want to, but have an arsenal of those things that you can immediately go to when you need to change your thoughts from the negative to the positive. Okay. The second thing, let's talk about approaching that horse. And we talked about the facial expressions and how they can recognize them. What you need to do is always be mindful that when you are, right before you lock eyes with that animal, that you put a smile on your face, a grin, talk to them softly, reassure them. Don't bring your outside problems into the stall. It's going to affect your entire ride or your entire experience with your horse for the time period that you are with them, and they're there for you to enjoy them and for them to enjoy their relationship with you. So that's very important for you to remember. And going on to the third thing, the leadership role. As I just mentioned, we talked about about the leadership role, that when it's you and the horse, that you need to be the leader. That's very, very important. And as we know, as riders, whenever we feel fear, that fear goes right down our hands into those reins, into that horse, and they're like, woohoo, what do I need to be afraid of? Okay, so when you get into a situation where that's all happening, my recommendation is, number one, to breathe. It is very, what we go to oftentimes when we are feeling that anxiety and that emotion of fear, that we stiffen up and we hold our breath and we stop breathing. And that's like one of the worst things you can possibly do. What you want to do is force yourself to breathe deeply and slowly to calm your body, which will then calm the horse. I've mentioned earlier in this little video here about the vagus nerve. And what is the vagus nerve? The vagus nerve is this long nerve that goes all the way down from the cortex of your brain to your vital organs, your heart, your lungs, your gut. And it is the vagus nerve that transmits those feelings and messages from the gut to the brain, and from the brain to the vital organs, to the gut. So the vagus nerve is a very important nerve to keep calm in your body. How can you do that? Well, here's one that you might not know. One of the key ways to calm your vagus nerve, and again, this is science, not me making this up, is to sing. And I think some of you actually do that sort of instinctively with your horse. Like if you feel them like getting a little tense or whatever, you'll start humming or singing or something. It's important because, number one, you cannot hold your breath while you're singing. That's a fact. Two, when you sing, it actually calms the vagus nerve, which translates again from that brain to the vital organs and back again. An interesting fact is that the horse also has a vagus nerve, exactly like we have. And the vagus nerve in the horse functions exactly like our vagus nerve functions. So, when you are in the process of calming your vagus nerve, you can then be helping the horse to calm their vagus nerve and to keep them grounded and to keep them from freaking out. So those are some practical ideas that you can put into practice right now. Things to think about, and hopefully, you're going to be able to adopt those into your riding life. Another thing I wanted to mention is that we are going to have a lot of downtime, all of us, because of being quarantined, or that we're in our homes. Especially, I'm lucky enough to be in Florida right now. I was on a 2-week vacation that has been extended to 3 weeks, and now maybe beyond, because going back to Western Pennsylvania in the cold, and I can't even go outside. So I feel for you guys out there, and hopefully the spring is going to kick in real soon, and the weather's going to get warmer. But I will be coming back, fairly soon. I don't have an exact date yet, but I will be coming back fairly soon. But we've all sort of slowed down our regular routines, and it's a good time to get caught up on your reading. And so I am going to go ahead and post a link in the Barngoddess Chronicles in this post to the post that I did on the Equus Film and Arts Festival, which took place in December in Lexington, Kentucky, where I had the opportunity to meet many wonderful equine authors and their books. And in that post, I put links where you can just simply, hit the button and buy them off Amazon. And so you can get caught up on your equestrian reading, and again, put some joy into it. Put some joy into your life. Yeah, we're all worried, but we can take some time out to be thankful and to be grateful, and to be grateful to the Lord. This is also important. His words are, do not be afraid, do not be worried, do not be discouraged. Whether you're looking that up at Joshua in the Old Testament, or his messages in the New Testament, or hopefully both, you will know that the Lord has told us to fear not, because he really is ultimately in charge, and his will be done. So everybody, love you guys. Let's keep up the joys of our equestrian life all together, and stay tuned for more posts from the Barngoddess Chronicles, and we'll get this. We're all in this together, and we're going to get through this together. Okay, take care, everybody.